Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to MiM Monday. This is Mickey in Minutes Live, a quick conversation about some of the latest Disney news stories with you. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga, and on today's show, the return of the Disney Store, the Sorcerer's hat at Hollywood Studios is kind of back, and Pixar characters finally enter the Lorcana game. And so much more also. So thanks so much for joining me. I see you guys joining in the chat. What's going on? Hi, how you doing? Be sure to leave your comments down below and be a part of the conversation. And if you're listening to this as a playback on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, be sure to leave your thoughts wherever it is that you listen as a comment. And, let's make it a conversation out there as well. And be sure to join me next Monday live on Instagram at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So, how are we doing, guys? Is anybody watching basketball right now? I'm wearing my Spurs shirt because, of course, I live in San Antonio. And the Spurs are in the playoffs right now. They just won game 1 yesterday. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge sports fan or anything, but the excitement here in my hometown in San Antonio, it's everywhere. And not to mention the fact that my wife, Chelsea, you guys know Chelsea, she works for the Spurs. She does animations for the in-game stuff over at the Spurs stadium, and it's really cool. So needless to say, she's been extremely busy. And yeah, so, go Spurs go. Whoops, let me fix my chair. There we go. It's nice to be a fan of the winning team, right? Hey, what's going on, Meg? Yes, go Spurs, go. All right, so we got some Disney news to talk about here. This is not a Spurs podcast. This is a Disney podcast. Let's talk about some Disney news. So, just one day after the last MiM Monday episode, something really big happened, and I've had to wait a week to talk about this because, MiM Mondays are on Mondays, right? So on April 14th, the Sorcerer's hat was added to the Magic of Disney Animation building over at Hollywood Studios. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is it used to be Star Wars Launch Bay, and for a while there, before that, it was, the magic of Disney animation. So it's kind of going back to its roots here. And the big deal here, hey, what's going on, Tony? So the big deal here is that the Sorcerer's hat is, it's iconic, right? Not only is it iconic from the Sorcerer's Apprentice, obviously, where Mickey Mouse is wearing that hat and, made it iconic. But a lot of people associate this hat, of course, with Disney's Hollywood Studios. But here's the thing. This hat, the one that they've installed at Hollywood Studios, is actually not meant to be an homage to the hat that once was at Hollywood Studios. This is actually supposed to be more of a replica of the facade of the Roy E. Animation building, the Roy E. Disney Animation building in Burbank, California. So I just want to talk about this for a second because this is something that I saw go up and I got excited, like, oh, wow, this is such an amazing tribute to the Burbank Animation building. This is so cool. And then I've just been seeing so many comments going through of people saying, like, oh, this is like the Temu version of the Sorcerer's hat that used to be at Hollywood Studios. Oh, this is a cheap knockoff of what used to be there. Oh, they're bringing back the Sorcerer's hat, but they made it look so small and terrible. Guys, everyone needs to chill out because it was never meant to be that. It was never meant to be bringing back the Sorcerer's hat that used to be at Hollywood Studios, the big one that was in front of the Chinese theater. This is not that. So I know a lot of people are making that connection because it's the same park, but they're two different things in two different locations. And I just feel like people are getting all angry and bent out of shape because it doesn't look as good. But if you would just go and look at pictures of the Raw E Disney Animation Building in Burbank, it looks exactly like that one. And that's what they're going for. So I say A+ Disney. This hat looks fantastic. I think it looks really great. And to all the people who are wanting it to be like that one, you're getting a Sorcerer's hat in Hollywood Studios. So, excuse me, be happy with what you're getting, right? But just know that that's not what it is. And I feel like, honestly, it's probably just a lot of people who grew up with the hat, only knew studios with the hat, and don't understand what this is a reference to. So before you complain about something, just some good advice, before you complain about something, do your research, right? Just research what this is. So anyways, that's my weird rant right now, right? just do your research before you complain. So I think it looks really great. I think that this fits in so well with what we're getting at Hollywood Studios in there. And it's obviously just a beautiful nod to animation, which, this being the former MGM Studios, had this whole animation experience, and I think they're doing a really great job. I see in the chat, long live the Launch Bay and the Golden Arch. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some people really love Launch Bay, and that's cool. Launch Bay was a cool experience. Personally, I'm happy to see this return back to the magic of Disney animation, which will be opening pretty soon, and you're gonna be having lots of cool experiences in there. There's gonna be a kids playground themed to like Alice in Wonderland and like Mary Blair style Alice in Wonderland stuff. It's gonna be really cool. There's gonna be a learn to draw activity with an animatronic Olaf and real Disney animators on screen teaching you how to draw their characters, which is fantastic. There's going to be meet and greets with different Disney characters in cool settings that are reminiscent of different styles of animation, right? So there's going to be like a place where you can meet characters, and it looks like the multiplane camera, which is just super cool. So that, and just so much more. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this return. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you, like Tony, I see you, Tony, if you, like Tony, are excited for the hat returning, because I think it's a really big deal. So anyways, hey, now that Tony is in the chat, let me just plug something really quick. Tony O'Tower and I did a video on about Disney's California Adventure, the attraction Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, and that video just dropped today. You can go see it over on Tony's YouTube channel or on Mickey and Minutes YouTube channel. It's a joint post there, so check that out. It's a really cool video. Tony, I was really happy to be on that video with you. Of course, Tony hosted that video. So very cool. Please go check out that video. Shameless plug right now. Just cool. I love collaborating with Tony. So good times. Yes. Tony says it's on Tony's YouTube channel, Tony O Tower. So look that up. Anyways, next conversation here. Something else that is sort of coming back, but not quite coming back. Let's see in the chat. Great time hearing your insight. Oh, thank you so much, Tony. Yeah, it was fun. It was super fun. I see also in the chat, gigantic movie should be made. Guys, all right. Let me just talk about this really quick, because I was at D23 Expo back in 2015 when they announced the movie Gigantic. And I'm plugging this because there's someone in the chat here pushing Gigantic. So this movie was going to be about Jack and the Beanstalk, and just such a cool concept. I was at D23 Expo, and they unveiled this big like beanstalk in the middle of the expo floor. Cool promotion for it, and the movie got canned. It never got made. And so, yeah, what are you pushing here? Change.org let the gigantic movie come out in theaters. Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. What I heard is that they couldn't finish the movie. They couldn't come up with an outro for this movie for some reason. They were just hitting these blocks and they ended up getting canned because of that. But something really cool did come from that. The song Into the Unknown from Frozen 2 was actually originally written for Jack to sing in this Jack and the Beanstalk feature as he is questing up the beanstalk. So we got Into the Unknown out of it. But anyways, cool. Thanks for plugging that change.org here in the chat. That's pretty cool. Maybe you can get the attention of these animators and they can finish that movie. All right. Excuse me. So on to the next thing. Like I said, something else that Disney is kind of saying is coming back in a weird way, and that is the Disney Store. Who remembers shopping at a physical Disney Store location? Let me know in the chat. Put your hand up in the chat if you remember shopping at a real Disney Store location. They used to be everywhere, right? Back starting in the 80s, these stores were popping up everywhere. And then back in 2021, because of, Bob Chapek, they started closing, and they've gotten rid of most of the Disney stores around the United States, except for a few stores and a couple outlets. I'm lucky enough to have a Disney Store outlet right by me where I live. Obviously, I'm in San Antonio, so about an hour away, less than an hour away is San Marcos, and they have an outlet mall there. I have a Disney Store there, and it's very cool. Oh, look, Happiest Disney Mom worked at Disney Store. Oh, that's cool. So did you hear this? That they're sort of bringing back Disney Store? So Disney is launching Disney Store Limited Time. This is what they're calling it, Disney Store Limited Time. And according to Disney Parks blog, it says Disney Store is bringing fans even more ways to shop the stories they love in person. Which I read that line and I could not help but laugh to myself, because have we already gotten to the point, 5 years later, where people have forgotten that Disney Store was in person for a long time? Like, why are they saying this? Oh, and a new way to shop in person. Yeah, we it hasn't been that long, Disney Store. So basically, according to this Disney Parks blog article, they're only opening a couple stores. It says beginning in May of 2026, in collaboration with Go Retail Group, Disney Store will launch Disney Store Limited Time, which is retail destinations that will bring Disney storytelling to life through engaging in-person shopping experiences. So, I don't know how this is weird. So it says 2 shopping locations. One of them will be at Ross Park Mall in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the other one will be in Westfield Garden State Plaza Mall in Paramus, New Jersey. And that's it. So it's just really weird that they're posted this whole Disney Parks blog article to push two locations, which kind of seems like they're more like pop-up locations, or if something like that. I don't know. It seems weird. That is, unless this is like a test to see, do people want to come shop in person again, right? Is the the whole COVID thing done? And also, do you remember when Bob Chapek announced that they were getting rid of Disney stores, but they're doing this big partnership with Target, and there's going to be Disney stores in Target? Do you guys remember that? One of the Targets by where I live has this Disney store. I'm doing air quotes for those of you listening to the podcast, because it's not really a Disney store. It's a tiny little section of Target, a little square section of Target, where they have just a couple of Disney items. Like, it seems like a lot of the same Disney merch that they have in Target anyways, just pushed into a corner with the little Disney icon, the little Mickey hanging from the ceiling. And every time I walk by this, I get frustrated, because I'm like, really? We lost Disney stores for this? It seems like really we lost Disney stores just because of online shopping and COVID-19 and people not wanting to, leave their houses. It seems like people are over that, right? So, I don't know. Yeah, see, in the chat, I prefer shopping in person, says Tony. Happiest Disney Mom says not the same. Yep. So, Tony says good to know. Hunt down merch at Target. Not all of it. I've always been really disappointed with the Disney Store merch they have at Target. It's really more kid focused than anything else. A lot of toys, a lot of dolls, and kid clothing. Um, you know, like this jacket. I bought this jacket at the Disney outlet, the Disney Store outlet in San Marcos. That's where they have the good stuff over at the outlet stores. So, anyways, I'm really hoping that this bring back of Disney stores, quote unquote, is just the beginning of a bigger rollout. Bring them back, you know. I don't know how malls are doing over in your town, but there's some malls in my city that are doing just fine. You know, people are always saying that malls are dying. I don't see that. I see stores dying, individual stores, but malls in general, there's at least here where I live, they're still alive and kicking. So let's bring back Disney stores, like for real though. You know, like if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. So, anyways, yeah, that's the story. And it even says want to attend a grand opening. Oh my goodness, guys, it's 2 stores. So I don't know. I want more to come from this. Let me know down in the chat. Do you want a Disney store to return to your mall? And if you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, do you want Disney stores to make a comeback? I do. I want that so bad. I want it so bad. All right. So on the next story. This is a big deal story, this next one. But I'm only going to touch on it for a second, and I'll tell you why. So let's talk about the Muppets. Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster, starring the Muppets, whatever they're calling it. They released the full playlist. And I'm actually going to do a full podcast episode about this. So if you don't know, this is MiM Monday. This is the news show. I also do a monthly podcast where I talk in detail, in depth about different stories, about different histories and different things like that. And so on the podcast, I'm bringing in a good friend of mine. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, you've probably heard Jake D. He's been on the show 3 times already, and he's so into music. He knows so much about music and history of music and songs and stuff. He's just a great dude. And so I'm bringing him back on the show, and we're going to talk about this playlist, this set list of songs for Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster. So I'm not going to really share my thoughts on it here. Look out for that episode featuring my buddy Jake very soon to hear all my thoughts on it. But it's news. Let's talk about it just for a minute here. And hey, what's going on? I see you joining Disney Snack Studio. What's going on? So, all right. They've announced the full playlist. Last time we talked on MiM Monday, last Monday, we talked about Song 2, the song by Blur. You know, the woohoo, that song. That was the only song we knew last time we talked. Now we know the rest of them. So, Born to Be Wild. I'm holding my tongue so I don't share my thoughts right now. You got to listen to the other episode. Born to Be Wild covered by the Electric Mayhem featuring Camilla the Chicken. Okay. All of these are by Electric Mayhem. They're covering these songs. But some of them have features. Then Love Roller Coaster. You know, the one, Roller Coaster of Love. I like that song. The Electric Mayhem featuring Jennifer Hudson and Questlove. Questlove is cool. You know, Questlove is the drummer for The Roots. He also plays drums on Jimmy Fallon. That's very cool. And then Rock Till You Drop. The Electric Mayhem featuring Def Leppard. That's a Def Leppard song, so it's cool that they're actually getting the real band on there too. And the last one, I'm going to try to not have my face reveal how I feel about this. Walking on Sunshine. All right, there we go. Deadpan. I'm not. Maybe the deadpan face just revealed how I feel about that song. It's a good song. All right, that's enough. So, Walking on Sunshine featuring Kelly Clarkson. All right, down in the chat. Tony says, Born to Be Wild is also on Mission Breakout. Yes, it is, Tony. Yes, it is. And is it wrong for me to feel like they could have picked something else? Have a little bit of variety, right? Have a little bit of variety. We don't have to have the same songs on the rides. I mean, it's such a unique and cool thing to feature these kinds of songs on rides. You know, so far Guardians has done it and Rock and Roller Coaster has done it. Well, both Guardians have done it. And we don't need repeats, right? We don't need to repeat songs. Okay. I have a full rant prepared for the official episode coming out next Friday. Next Friday. I don't have a calendar in front of me. Whatever next Friday is. So please look out for that. Hear my thoughts on these. You get the idea. All right. Cameos. There's going to be some really cool cameos in this Muppets attraction that are going to be featured in the queue, videos, I guess, in the queue with some pretty cool celebrities. So Aquafina, Danny Trejo, which every time I see the name Danny Trejo, I always say this fact about me and Danny Trejo. I was in a restroom with Danny Trejo. That sounds weird. Let me explain. So I was at a Comic-Con and I went to the restroom and then I walked out of the restroom and my wife was like, "Did you see who was in that restroom?" And I was like, "No, I didn't really notice." And she was like, "It was Danny Trejo." I was like, "Are you serious?" Apparently we just crossed paths. I was heading in, he was heading out. So that's my Danny Trejo story. Anyways, Darren Criss will also be a cameo. John Stamos, Neil Patrick Harris, NPH. I love NPH. I saw NPH host Candlelight Processional at Epcot one time, and it was amazing. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining the chat. Travis Barker. All right, guys. I'm a huge Travis Barker fan. I grew up listening to Blink-182 like, everybody else on the planet. In fact, I saw on Instagram today that today is the 24th anniversary or something of the Pop Disaster Tour, which was Blink-182 and Green Day. And that was actually my first concert. And anyways, Travis Barker, yes, please. Yvette Nicole Brown, Wayne Brady. Yes, so much. I love Wayne Brady. I love Whose Line Is Anyways. And then the crown jewel, the Chef Kiss, Weird Al Yankovic. I love that. I cannot wait to see how these people, especially Weird Al Yankovic, interact with these Muppet characters in the queue for Rock and Roller Coaster. Something to get me excited, right? I've been kind of back and forth about how excited I am for this. I'm a huge Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith fan. It was heartbreaking to see that go away. And so I've been kind of on a roller coaster myself of emotions as I've been watching the news pour in for this. Some things get me excited. Some things make me mad. And this, Weird Al made me happy. Travis Barker made me happy. Some of the songs on that playlist made me happy. Some of them, nope, not so much. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that. Tune in to the Mickey and Minutes podcast next Friday to hear my complete thoughts on that on a brand new episode featuring my good friend, Jake D from the Sippin' Mimos podcast. He'll be joining me to talk about that. All right. Hey, what's going on? I see other people joining me in the chat. This is awesome. How you guys doing? So who likes free lightning lanes? I do. I love free lightning lanes. I'll bet that just like me, you missed your opportunity to get a free Pirates of the Caribbean lightning lane at Magic Kingdom because they only gave them out for a few days, but you had to work for them. Let's talk about this. This is such an interesting story. So, that Pirates game they have at Magic Kingdom, where you get these little treasure maps. It's called a Pirate's Adventure, and you get these little maps, and you go searching around Adventureland looking for clues, and different things happen around the land, and it's pretty cool. So there's different games, right? One of them is called Haven Defense. Then what is it? Guardian's Curse and the King's Ransom, Blackbeard, Heads You Lose. Those are the 5 games. So they were doing this thing where if you completed 3 games and you proved that you completed them to the cast member, they gave you a free Pirates of the Caribbean lightning lane, and you were able to redeem this right away, immediately. In fact, it was only immediate You could only redeem it immediately. You couldn't hang on to it and do it later. But that's really cool. So, from what I understand, I'm pretty sure that that's how it used to be when they first set up this game, and then they changed it to like giving out some collectible cards, which I love collectible cards, which we're going to talk about Lorcana in a little bit. So, I'm cool with the collectible card. But on April 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, they were saying that if you completed 3 out of the 5 games, you got a free Pirates of the Caribbean Lightning Lane. Cut to the front of attraction. Because apparently, you're an honorary pirate. You did it. You've completed enough pirate missions that, yo-ho, go and enjoy the ride. That's really cool. And people were thinking this was awesome, and then it just stopped. They just stopped doing it on the 19th. So, don't know why. Could they have run out of cards and had to do something else, and lightning lanes are intangible and they can just give them out? Maybe. Were they trying this out and then too many people caught on and lightning lane got backed up? Maybe. I mean, it takes a little while to complete 3 missions, right? It supposedly takes about 20 minutes to complete 1. So, who knows why it came and went? Who knows if it's even coming back? But if you were there and you got to catch this experience and get a free lightning lane, good for you. That's really cool. So, I don't know. Weird story, right? But now you get your collectible card again. If you not a cardigan, like not a jacket or a sweater, a card again. You get your collectible card again, not a lightning lane. So, anyways, go play the pirate game and get your card. All right. Excuse me. 2 more stories, and then we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. This is too much fun. So we got our first look over at Disneyland at Han Solo and Princess Leia. If maybe you don't know, they're changing half of Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland to be based on the original trilogy, meaning that they're bringing out these original trilogy characters. We've already seen Luke Skywalker before. He debuted like last year or something. Pretty cool. He's walking around with R2-D2. But we got our first look at Princess Leia and Han Solo. And all right, it's so weird for me to see characters like this. All right, how do I explain this? So it's so different when you see like animated characters being portrayed by actors, right? By real people, right? If there's a kid listening, earmuffs. Because with going from animation to a human character, you can take some liberties, right? They don't have to look exact because no human looks exactly like a cartoon. And then it's different when you have real characters that wear masks, right? Like Kylo Ren, that's fine. Anybody can be Kylo Ren if you're tall enough and you're wearing the mask, and that's fine. The Avengers characters, right? Even Captain America. Sometimes Captain America looks a little off to me, but he has the mask on, and it's fine. But when you have a character like this, or all right, let me say even Jack Sparrow, because he has all like the stuff on his head and the beard and the makeup, and that's fine. You can put enough makeup on somebody to make them look enough like Johnny Depp to where it's convincing. But somebody, portraying Carrie Fisher, a legend, right? Harrison Ford, a legend, right? We know what these characters look like. So yes, I know. Suspend your disbelief. You're in Disney World. I get it, and obviously I will. But I don't know. Is it me, or do they just not look quite right? And I get they're not going to find like a perfect, Carrie Fisher look-alike or a perfect Harrison Ford look-alike. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Good to see you. I get that. They're not going to look exact, but I don't know. For me, like the Han Solo guy, he just looks like a dude. He just looks like a frat boy in a wig. I don't know. The costume looks really cool, right? The costume looks great. And I'm not being mean. I'm not criticizing the actor. I'm sure he's great. It's fine. But Does he look like Han Solo to me? Not really. Same thing with Princess Leia. Does she look like Princess Leia to me? No, but the costume's cool. I don't know. I've seen like cosplayers on Instagram or at Comic Cons that honestly look more like the characters than these people, but it's fine because it's Disney World. It's fine. So, it is what it is. It's really cool that we're getting these characters at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. I wonder if they're ever going to come to Florida, but when you meet them, you gotta suspend your disbelief and just understand that that's Princess Leia, that's Han Solo, that's Luke Skywalker. Let's see down in the chat. Sometimes they get the younger versions right, and sometimes not quite right. Yeah, exactly. So, it is what it is. It's like with everything else, But like I was saying, it's like you go and meet Ariel, and she looks like Ariel because you're comparing her to a cartoon, and it's fine. But I don't know. Something is just throwing me off here. I thought the same thing last year when they brought out Luke Skywalker. Maybe I'm just being too picky. But I will say that if I'm there in person and get to meet these characters, I will fanboy like the rest of us crazy Disney adults because that's what we do. We suspend our disbelief and we just go and play. So, anyways, those are my thoughts on it. Let's see down in the chat. That's an interesting point. Yeah, right? Something to think about. See, Soren says, yes, much harder to match real people. Yeah, it is, right? So, and I wonder, are the kids going to be convinced also, or do they just not care? They just see the costume and are immediately convinced. So, I don't know. That's why I always feel like let's stick with like the characters with masks or costumes. Like let's stick with the Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, Boba Fett, Din Djarin, right? These characters that are covered because it's easier to pull them off. Let's see. There's a Jack Sparrow at Disneyland who looks exactly like John. Yeah, excuse me. I've seen that guy as well, and it is uncanny. So, maybe they could have done a better job. Maybe not, but does it really matter? Because we're still getting Han Solo and Princess Leia at Disneyland. So, I don't know. Very cool. I'm waiting for the day when they decide, you know what? Let's roll it back even further. Let's bring, young Obi-Wan. Let's bring Qui-Gon Jinn. Let's bring Darth Maul. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. Let's roll back the clock to the prequels. I'm a 90s baby. I'm a prequels kid. Episode 1 was one of my favorite movies growing up. That pod racer? Yes. So much yes. So, anyways. We got one more story I want to talk about here. Then I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Let's talk about Lorcana. I feel like it's been a really long time since I've talked about Lorcana here on the show. But I'm a big Lorcana fan. I'm not going to lie. I've pulled back a little bit on the Lorcana game, buying the cards because there's so much and it's so expensive that, I still buy packs here and there, but there's a new release coming out very, very soon that I think is going to, get the hook back in me. It's going to pull me back in. I still play Lorcana all the time, but I think this is going to be the thing. I think this is going to be the thing that's going to get me to go and buy a whole bunch more cards, and that is Wilds Unknown. So here's the thing about Wilds Unknown. It's going to be the first time in Lorcana that we're getting Pixar characters. Guys, we're getting Pixar in Lorcana. That's so cool. We're getting like The Incredibles, guys. We're getting Toy Story characters. It is just so cool. It's unlocking this whole new world of characters, and I'm here for it. So let's look over here at Disney Parks blog. It says Pixar characters make their Disney Lorcana debut. It says that this is the set that will also bring Pixar stories into the realm, meaning it'll be the first time these character glimmers have been featured as enchanted cards. Ooh, fancy pants. So, if you don't know, there's different like levels of cards that are worth different amount of money, and enchanted cards are they're more rare, so they're worth more money. So we got these two really cool enchanted cards that they're showing off on Disney Parks blog. There's one of the little green alien from Toy Story being picked up by like the claw, but the claw is like vines from a flower. And then there's another one of Mrs. Incredible, and it's just such a cool card. I don't even know how to describe this one. Her arms are like all stretched out, and it's kind of like, I don't know, she's being surrounded by something. Like I don't know. It looks incredible though. This art, and I want to go back and dive into the story of Lorcana because it's been a while since I've followed what's going on. But anyways, so if you're interested in Lorcana, and if you like Pixar, if you've never bought into Lorcana but you're a big Pixar fan, this is it. This is your in. Go for it. Go buy some Lorcana. It's dangerous because it's expensive and you're going to end up buying a lot of cards. I have a lot. I have thousands of cards over there on this shelf here, and you know, I took a little bit of a break. I didn't buy the last two sets. But I think they got me. I think I'm jumping back in. Lorcana, what are you doing to me? All right, guys. So, anyways, this has been a really fun MiM Monday. I'm so happy that so many of you have decided to join me tonight. And, also those of you who are listening on the podcast, thanks so much for listening. If you've missed any of this episode or you want to go back and listen to previous episodes, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. I'm posting the video playback of this on YouTube as well. All those versions drop tomorrow, next day. So, check those out. And thanks so much for hanging out. This was a really, really fun episode. And a couple of plugs. Go on YouTube and check out the video that I just put out with Tony O'Tower, who was in the chat earlier. I don't know, are you still in here, Tony? So Tony and I put this video out. Go find it on Tony's channel on YouTube, which is Tony O'Tower. It's a joint post, so I believe it's on my YouTube channel as well, when we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Tower of Terror, and all that cool stuff over in California Adventure. Go check that out. And also check out the latest episode of the Mickey in Minutes podcast coming out next Friday, where I just talk with my good friend Jake all about the Muppets songs for Rocket Roller Coaster. We're going to break down that entire playlist and just have some fun talking about Muppets and rock and roll music. So there we go. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga. Together, we made Monday magical. We did it, guys. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, what's going on, everybody?